Hi there, I'm Jill Chivers from shopyourwardrobe.com.
And I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style blog. And today we are inside my wardrobe.
It's very exciting. We wish you were here.
Yes, it's a little bit cramped though, so we couldn't have too many over at the same time. And we've been asked about how do you work with a more limited colour palette.
Yes.
And Jill mentioned in another video, which we'll link to, just how she has a very small number of colours she works with. But what you can see here, if we look at Jill's palette, she's got 4 colours. The blue's just disappeared.
Yep.
And then a range of neutrals. And I think it's important to realise that Jill doesn't just wear 1 neutral or 2 neutrals.
No.
She has the entire, from white, like her version of a warm white, through to, sand and caramel and coffee and beige and light brown and dark brown. And then there is also the aspect that many of her pieces are in an animal print, which gives you almost a feeling of a texture as well as a range of colours even within each of those.
And I've always thought of my animal prints as a neutral, but it wasn't until we started discussing this for this video that it really hit me that I'm wearing multiple neutrals in the one outfit with an animal print. And I know that might seem obvious, but it hadn't really quite struck me. It was just, well, I'm wearing leopard print, there we go, there's my neutral. But there's actually a huge variety when you think of it that way. And just, I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons why it doesn't feel like I'm just wearing a neutral when I'm wearing a colour.
You haven't just said, I will wear brown and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then if it was just that, then we'd have just limited ourselves to, say a brown, and then suddenly we have a much more limited palette.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. Which for me would be fairly boring, it was. Yes. But I think the question that came up when we were asked about this video is sort of, are you limiting yourself? Is just having 2, 4, however many colours it is limiting? And when we were chatting about that, we were saying the opposite is really true.
And you can see this is my wardrobe. And so I started white, which is kind of down this part of my wardrobe. And then I worked my way through kind of pink, red. I don't do orange because it's not on my palette.
Yeah.
I've got a tiny bit of green, not a lot. Then I go through the teals to the turquoise, blues, violets, and then kind of navies, violets, and then I've got greys and neutrals.
Yeah.
Or the kind of greys, browns, blacks.
Yeah.
And so even though I haven't got every colour in the sun, I don't have, apart from turquoise, I don't have any of Jill's palette in my wardrobe, but I don't feel limited. So I have chosen to wear more of my colours than Jill has.
And we counted them, there's about nine colours that Imogen regularly wears.
But for me, I have this ability to mix and match very simply. Yeah. I can mix and match my wardrobe. Things go together really simply. What it does is actually expands my wardrobe options because it expands my mix and match ability. And in fact, quite often I'll think, I want to put something together in a way I've never done before. And I can go into my wardrobe and I can pick something and go, I've never worn with this, with that, and there's a pretty good chance it's going to work.
Yeah, and you have a high need for variety. You're really curious about your wardrobe. You're always looking for new, different ways of doing things, and then looking for the sort of scientific underpinnings of those. And so your wardrobe allows you to do that. So a fresh ensemble you've never put together feels like a whole new outfit, even though it's comprised of things you might have had for ages.
Yeah, I've had for years and worn multiple times, just not in that same way.
But it works for one good reason, and it only works because of that reason, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's where that if you want to limit your palette, the colours have to go together.
Yeah.
And this is where having a colour analysis and knowing your colours actually can expand your options. It may limit your colours, but it expands your options. So it's how you see that. Yeah. So if somebody has they go, I just wear any colour and I have, I want to have lots and lots of colours. What can happen is they have what I call an outfit wardrobe.
Yeah.
Where this only goes with that.
Yeah.
So I can only wear those things in one way. I don't have the options like I do of going, I've got to wear this with that and this with that and this with that, and lots and lots and lots of different options.
Absolutely.
So I think that, if you're thinking about how do I limit my colours. Now, I wanted to ask, so Jill mentioned that she's actually expanded. So originally Jill started with her 2 colours. She started with were the turquoise and the orange.
Yeah.
And she's now added in some yellow and some green.
Pretty radical, huh?
Yeah. So she's really gone all out with those colours.
I've gone crazy.
But tell me, Jill, do you have any idea why you decided to add those extra colours in?
Well, look, it was probably a combination of being influenced by you and my husband saying, you know, I had something yellow from 1,000 years ago and I wore it on a Sunday, and him saying, oh, that colour really makes you pop. And, you know, anytime somebody says to you...
Jill loves a compliment.
I do, I go for it. You know, my ears pick up and I think, oh, there's something to learn there. And I love yellow. Yellow has become a bit of a favourite. The turquoise is a really good colour for me, bringing out my...
Oh, it's always a signature colour.
Yes, absolutely. And being, it's also got it's a hair contrast or something as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and the yellow too is a hair. So it's interesting that you've brought in the yellow as well, because that actually is like a hair enhancer.
Yeah.
And I also wonder though, is it because yellow had disappeared out of fashion?
Yeah.
Didn't see it, and then it's reappeared. So there are yellow things around, and I can often think we can get stuck in maybe just a few colours if there's just. And we were just discussing how difficult at the moment it is to buy turquoise.
Yeah.
It's just not around in fashion at the moment, so therefore it's, you know, like the occasional piece appears here and there, but if it's not your style or whatever, then forget about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is that sort of thing where you go, well, sometimes it could be suddenly it's everywhere. And if it's a colour, then you know, you had a compliment from your husband and you went, actually, it's a hair enhancer and it actually works, and I've got, you know,
Yeah, and I went out and I sought a few things, you know, so I bought some fabric, I had a dress made, I looked online, I bought a yellow jacket, and then for me it's very much the sort of the quiet, sort of, you know, when I see things I will get them, and so a big thing for me is accessories, those yellow beads.
Yes, that we searched for.
And I have a few sets of yellow beads now, and it's because when I'm around and about doing my op and vintage shopping, if I see them I go, oh, more yellow beads. I probably have more yellow beads than I need at the current moment. But that's kind of how my yellow has built up. Green is a colour that I wore ages and ages ago, I don't know, 15 years ago, and then it had been weeded out of my wardrobe. And I actually cannot recall what prompted me to bring that in, what the trigger was to bring that in. But a similar kind of thing has been very organic in how I brought it in, and I have less of it.
With greenery being the colour of the year, it may expand. But I also know that Jill's got a multicoloured kind of kimono jacket thing that has got green in it, and it could just be because it's in, and in fact you've got probably a few patterned items that are very much based around these colours. And it could just be then, oh, like a green gives me another option. If I have something, a green top to wear under it, I feel, you know, that patterned garment gets a few more options to play with.
And like you, of course, they all go together. All four of them magically go together. But they all go with my neutrals. And I just, even if somebody else might look at it and say, you know, I wouldn't have put yellow with that, whatever, I still do it. You know, to me, it works and it makes me feel good. And the aesthetic is something I find very pleasing. And I choose to be my own style arbiter. And there are a few sources of external style feedback that I will either seek or accept. My husband being one of them, you being one of them. But apart from that, I really don't go seeking that. And that's because I really want to have myself as my touchstone. You know, and I think that's one of the things that can trip you up too, is just getting too many opinions from too many people.
Yes. So, I mean, hopefully that's helped you think about that. If you're thinking, oh, I think I want to limit my palette, think about how you're going to limit it, because notice these colours all go together. There's no point in limiting your palette, and maybe think about, this is not just, it's 4 colours and that includes neutrals. This is colours plus neutrals. And so therefore, and because Jill's chosen the animal prints and the browns and the beiges and the creams and all those colours as her neutrals, then that's actually quite a wide range of other things. So if you're wearing a beige jacket, it feels very different if you're wearing a dark brown jacket. So it feels like there's probably more there than just these colours. And also having those multicoloured items also adds interest and details, and some of those multicolours may have a colour in them that's not in these 4.
So the colours you choose on a limited palette are incredibly important.
Yes, they have to work really well together.
But from there, you can have tons of fun playing around with your stuff. And it in fact makes so many things easier. Shopping and organising your wardrobe being two of the things that are easier when you really don't have a lot of colour to play with.
So love to have you tell us how you know, if you're choosing a more, you know, more select palette, let's not call it limited, let's call it select.
That's right.
And how you go with it and how you feel about it.
Tell us in the comments.